Steve, 8 to go.
8 to go, yeah. And, after just analysing it all week, that we've got basically 5 games in 13 days. A game every 2.5 days, if you want to try and work it out, which is the defining part of the season, really. So, vitally important that we keep fresh and we keep focused, and it's here right now of all the work we've put in over the months descends really upon these 2 weeks of where we're going to be and where we're not going to be. So, big important time. Let's enjoy the challenge. Thankfully, everybody's come back from international. I don't think I've got an injured player in the club at the moment, which is good.
And how are you feeling about it personally, and what reflections have you had in the 2 week run?
You work all the time since I've been here to put us in this situation. You know, to be there or thereabouts is something I've harped on about now since I walked through the door, and it's upon us. So let's enjoy the challenge. It's going to be a big challenge. We've got a huge support going again tomorrow. We've had a disappointing last couple of results. It's now who can put the little run together, who can win 4 out of the next 5. And if we can lose 2 on the trot, so somebody else. So we have to be in a position, have to get the points that we've set the target for all season. If we do that and people go above that, then you pat them on the back and say, well done. But we've given ourselves a chance. Let's enjoy it and have a go.
Yeah, I know you've had a lot of players away over the last 2 weeks, but what have you managed to achieve on the training field?
Well, there hasn't been many here. That's been the disappointing thing. From a bad result, you want to get back to work straight away and work on the training ground, which basically where's all your preparation and your work comes from. A lot have been away, so there hasn't been many here. So in that time though, we've got nearly everybody fit. Maybe too early for Taylor and Whelan, but they will train all weekend and be there or thereabouts for Tuesday. So all looking okay.
Yeah, busy time, of course. 8 games in 37 overall. Has the break been good for the likes of JT, Snodgrass, people like that who haven't gone away?
For me, I'm being personal now, there shouldn't be an international break now in these 2 weeks, because I think there's too much to play for. What with championships to be decided, I think asking to play 5 games in 2 weeks is ridiculous. But listen, that's the championship. We know that. To have a silly, for me, international friendlies in them last 2 weeks, I'm being brutally selfish here now, but it doesn't do anybody any good, basically. You'd like to be playing these games where everybody's fresh. You have a week's preparation to them because it is the most important part of the season. However, that's me being a bitch.
And you've nailed this part of the season many times in your career, but there's a lot of players here and staff as well who've not been through it. What have you said to them, or what do you plan on saying to them?
I've said all along to them, look, all the hard work is now descends on these next couple of weeks. And really, I think it's that defining. You know, the 5 games in 2 weeks is that defining. So, is to enjoy it. That's the most important thing. Enjoy it. All the work that we've put in. Let's hope we can bring it to fruition.
Trip back to your old stomping ground tomorrow. Good memories overall?
Yeah. I said to the local guy the other day, if I can bring the success to Aston Villa, what we did at Hull, then we'd be delighted. I would be disappointed with the relegation, but to come back from it tells me what a good spirit we had within the club, and good players, good time, 4 excellent years. It'll be always good to go back.
On to injuries. The one on the fans' lips, of course, is Jonathan Codger. What's the very latest with him?
He will be involved. It's a big boost to us all. He played 45 minutes in a behind the closed doors game, which was ready for him. He's trained since. Looks in decent nick. So just at the right time, you know, we could be having our big centre forward available. So good news for everybody.
So all's gone well in training then, because that's a big
training,
boost.
Yeah. Well, we haven't rushed him back. The 2 weeks has given us the intense work that we've put into him. And Jimmy being Jimmy wants to be involved, so good time to get him involved.
Excellent. And just catch up on all the fullbacks, Hutton, Twanzebe, Taylor.
Taylor's trained for the last 4 or 5 days. Alan Hutton's fit. Twanzebe's fit. So yeah, all okay.
And Whelan fit again, or just a bit too soon for him?
Glenn might be just the one that's a little bit too soon. He only just started training really on Thursday, so big call, but good to have him around as well. His experience and know-how, like what you asked at the top of your top question you asked, his experience and know-how will be vital.
Yeah, and just lastly from me, going back a couple of weeks, but Andre Green, Mitch Clark, new contracts for them, good news?
Yeah, delighted. I mean, look, we've got some very, very good young players, you know, to all the academies, to all of them. It sends out a good signal, you know, that I had 4 or 5 away on international duty, Hepburn Murphy and Keenan Davis, and scoring for England. Josh Onham playing for England now, he's not ours, but he's on loan. Issa Solomon, captain of England at under 20. So all of them, we've got a nucleus of a very decent under 23 team. Callum O'Hare's another one had to pull out. You know, we've got 2 young lads knocking on the door of the Republic. In that respect, they all deserve a pat on the back, because that's going to be key for the club moving forward, and especially then from the academy up to Kev MacDonald have done extremely well. Absolutely delighted with the progress of all the young players we've got. They will be a big plus for the club in the next year or two.
Yeah, we know all about Andre, but for Mitch, for those who perhaps don't see him as much,
well, he played
potential
against Wigan in the Cup, and we were all mightily impressed with him. You know, he's maturing and done very well, and he deserves his new contract. Now he's got to be, the next step is, can he force his way into my squad? That's the key to it. And we've seen Keenan and Andre Green and Hepburn Murphy, and there's going to be a few of them who will be knocking on the door, and Mitch is hopefully going to be one of them.
Let me ask you about John Terry, because look, there's loads of conflicting reports out there about what's going to happen to him next season. What's your understanding of what he wants to do, what you want him to do, what the football club wants from him?
Well, first and foremost, the big decision is it's all in John's hands, and we have to respect that. You know, all of us want him to stay. I think that's, but like in all of it, it's John's decision, and once he makes the decision, then we'll abide by it and go with it. You know, it would be wonderful that he takes us back into the Premier League and then play a part in trying to keep us there. And that's what I've said to him. Whether we're in the Premier League or in the Championship, if we're in the Championship, then it's John's call to see what he wants to do playing-wise. And that'll be a conversation we have further down the line. So I've said it to him that if we get in the Premier League and all the rest of it, we would want him to stay and be part of it, because his experience would be invaluable, that's for sure. But of all of this, we have to respect John and what John wishes. So the ball will be in his court.
Financially, does his staying depend on you getting promotion? Because of how close you've had to work with financial
We
fair
haven't
play?
really had the conversation financially about not getting promoted. We don't really want to do that just yet. You know, why do we want to be talking about negative things? So I've had no real conversations on budgets about anything yet. So, but we know it's going to be extremely difficult next year, budget-wise, without the parachute payment for a start. So, you know, there's lots of conversations to be had with the powers that be, but at the moment we're concentrating on one thing, which is trying to win the next few matches.
Thank you, mate. James Chester, I thought, was an interesting one. He's been to China and back.
Yeah.
And I saw that they'd had some special measures to try and help his recovery. He stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning. Did you have some input in that?
No, I think it's something which I think the Welsh FA maybe have done it, and there's all sorts of theories. At the end of the day, it's common sense will come into it. Thankfully, he came back, and I seen him on Thursday, so he's had some sort of time of recovery. And if there's anybody can recover, it's Chesney, and he's a centre-back. I won't make the same mistake of midfield players, because I think they have to have and cover distances these days. Centre-backs, I was one of them, and a certain manager used to say he's doing nothing apart from keep the ball at the back of your net. And physically, it shouldn't be a problem to you, and I still am a big believer of that. You know, physically, a centre-back doesn't have to do the running of a wide right or a wide left or 2 central midfield players or your centre-forward. That's why we play centre-back.
8 games left now, and I've heard what you've already had to say about how you see it. I mean, look, let's be honest. You're looking very good for the playoffs, and there might be a bonus on top of it. If we'd offered you that at the start of the season, you'd have snapped your hand off.
That's what I said at the start. That's what I said since I came here, that we have to get Aston Villa turned around and be at the top end of the table. We have to be there or thereabouts. We are. Now, if we're capable of losing 2 in a week, so are others. Can we be in a position to strike? So it's what we do. The accumulation of points, the targets that we've set are all still there. And if somebody goes above you in that target, then you pat them on the back and say, well done, you've had an unbelievable season. We're there or thereabouts. These 5 games, Rob, will be the defining moment for the season, that's for sure. And I hope that we can get off to a good start by beating Hull tomorrow. Never going to be easy. And then we go Tuesday, Saturday. It's totally ridiculous, thanks to you guys. So
you can't blame us for all of it. You just blame the international break.
Now, listen, it is the championship. It is the championship, and that's what lies before you, and that's why it's so difficult. You have to have the capacity to play. Now, listen, people scratch their heads and think, what on earth is he talking about? Talking a lot of rubbish. A player can play every day of the week if you want him to. But you can't get to the same intensity. If you were running a race, for example, and you run a race for 90 minutes, you're better fresh than you are going tired. Quite simple. But you can still play, but you can't get to the intensity. Against QPR, for example, we were way short. Way short physically and mentally probably. So it's something I'll guard against. It's something that we have to approach, and I have to approach. 5 games in 13 days. There'll be a freshness about us, and then I'll not be. That's what we've got the squad of players for.
The big plus with all that in mind, though, is that, all right, you've got some players that are coming back from long-term injury that have still you've got to handle pretty carefully, I guess.
Cool.
But you're probably as good in physically in terms of numbers and shape than you've been at any stage in this season, aren't you? And if the season does go into extra time,
yes, certainly. As long as they all stay fit, and when you had a long-term one, you can't expect them to be, But certainly, it's a big plus to have Kodja back available, for example. He's trained for the last 2-3 weeks, and all of a sudden we can unleash him, who's fresh, and as long as he stays physically okay.
Have you got to be really careful with him though, because he's been out for so long?
I think that's the big thing. Of course, when you've been out for practically all season, then you can't expect him to just waltz back in and be the same Kodja. You're going to take time. It will take time, but certainly could make an impact. Coming off the bench, for example, or whatever we need, then is certainly what we'd all appreciate, and I think that's the key to it. We've got everybody fit and available this morning, which is good.
It's almost 2 years since you were last at Hull. First time you'll be back there, I think, isn't it? What are you expecting? I think the fans will be really positive towards you, won't they? What do you expect?
Well, I said to a local guy, if I could repeat in the 4 years what I had at Hull to this club, I'd be delighted. We had 2 promotions, an FA Cup final, the trip into Europe, although we didn't last very long. It was quite remarkable, the run. I had a very, very good team. If you look at the players that are playing now internationally and gone for big money, it was a really good time. Unfortunately, and I don't want to go over all ground, of course, because it's all that again, but unfortunately the chairman and I didn't see eye to eye in the finish, and that has to be watertight at any club. You have to have a respect, and you have to have, you're both singing off the same hymn sheet, and clearly towards the end we weren't, and we clashed on particularly everything. So if that's the case, I took the time I did, and hard decision to walk away from the Premier League. I can't remember many managers doing it, but I felt it was right for myself and particularly the club, and let him go and do what he had in mind, and that's the way I've left it.
I was looking back at your time there. When you won promotion, you were actually 9 points clear at one stage, weren't you? And then had a spring blip.
Yeah.
And ended up winning in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And all right, you haven't been 9 points clear this season.
No.
A bit of a spring blip with 2 defeats. I just wonder whether you look at it and think, hey, there's certain similarities here.
The spring blip, it was more than the blip, but it's the championship. And when it comes upon you, like it is now, can you get the results? We didn't. And we ended up in the playoffs. So, but it's a route through the playoffs. If that's got to be it, then you've got to have the mindset to get through it. And we certainly did there. At Hull, the final, for example, we played extremely well and absolutely dominated Sheffield Wednesday from start to finish because of the experience I had, the team I had, the players I had, big occasion. Used to Wembley, these players I had. I couldn't believe that, but we were used to Wembley, going to Wembley, and really a really enjoyable way to do it. If you do it, if you don't, then it can be a miserable summer. I'm sure of that.